Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to another bookish video. I'm so excited today to bring you guys 10 of my favorite fake dating romance books. And for the record, fake dating is easily one of my favorite tropes within romance books. So I'm so excited to talk to you about these 10 books. Every single one of them was either a 4 or 5 star, and I can hands down recommend. So let's tell you about these books. So the first book we're going to talk about is The Kiss Quotient. This book is about a woman who has Asperger's, and she's in the world of mathematics. She actually studies how customers make purchases and, like, mathematically speaking. And it's just super interesting because she starts to study things like, oh, if they buy 5 boxes of strawberries, it might mean they're pregnant, and therefore we should advertise this to them. It's an interesting field. Her name is Stella Lane, and she is just someone that looks at the world around her in numbers and analyzes everything. She decides that she is struggling with the world of dating, and so she needs to fix that. So to fix the fact that she is bad at the dating world, she decides she needs a professional, aka an escort. She's like, I'm gonna hire this guy. He's a pro. He'll teach me. In fact, she makes lesson plans for each day for what they'll do so that she can become better at dating. So she approaches everything like analytically, A then B then C, and he kind of starts to make her break out of her pattern and look beyond the plan and just start to kind of enjoy life as it hits you. And so as they go down this fake dating world and learning how to date, feelings start to develop. So he's teaching her how to be in touch with her emotions, live in the moment, kind of be more spontaneous. And it's very interesting because they look at love and romance very, very differently, but they kind of make this perfect match. And it's just really beautiful. And I always love when we have neurodivergent characters because I love that representation. So this book not only was a 5-star hit for me, but it also forced me to read every other book by this author. I keep hoping that she's going to come out with another book. It hasn't happened yet for a little while, but you never know. I am watching, trust me. Okay, so my next book is seasonal, but I have to do it because it's just such a good fake dating representation. And that was How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. It's probably a book I recommend you read during Christmas. It is a 5-star read for me. And it was so cute. In this book, you have Store, and Store comes to this town to take care of her relative who has broken her hip and needs a lot of support and help and you name it. And while she's in that neighborhood, the relative is like, the one thing you could really do for me is compete in this Christmas competition. I mean, Aunt knows how to manipulate the situation. I love her character in this book. So she gets Stella to enter this Kringle competition that the town holds every year to show who is the most Christmassy. And it's things like they have to put on a Christmas carol, they have to make candy canes. So then Stella jumps into this Christmas contest and she is competing against Cole, who's her neighbor. And Cole and her used to have a great friendship. They were always hanging out, they were always friends. Kind of felt like there might have been a little bit more, but then she kind of grew up into her adult life, hasn't visited in a long time, hasn't seen him in a long time. He is very upset with how she left things because, as we find out, the last time they saw each other was actually a bad day for him. I'm not going to give away those details. So he is very bitter towards her. She doesn't understand or know why until the book progresses. And so they jump into this contest. So here's where the fake dating gets really interesting because he convinces people in the town that he is dating her. And part of this contest is like looking Christmassy and spirited and the whole 9 yards every single day. Like supposedly anyone can be watching you and judge you. And so when he throws down this, oh yeah, we're dating, she can't be like, no, we're not. I hate you, because that wouldn't look very Christmas spirit. So instead she's like, yeah, sure, we're dating. So they end up fake dating while hating each other. And then to make things more complicated, feelings develop. So then they're like, to people like Stella's sister, who's also there, they're like fake dating. I'm trying to say all right, hold on, I gotta say this right. So they're like fake dating. So it's like they're pretending to be fake dating and not having feelings to the people that know them best. And then to the rest of the town, they're fake dating in the sense that they are dating. Meanwhile, there are actual feelings developing, and it's a mess, and I love it. And the whole book is just super, super cheeky. I mean, like, okay, so here's a quote giving you an idea. He goes, Christmas can be a real kinky bitch. Well, first, there's the whole mistletoe thing. Forcing people to kiss on cue, kinky. Then there's the whole sitting on Santa's lap thing, old man kink. Not to mention all the wreaths and candles. It's framed after The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, so a lot of the chapters kind of open with little rhymes, just like The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Like, dare I say, not so fake romance is biting the air. You caught that kiss. You saw that longing stare. I mean, just every little chapter opens up with this little poem, just like that. It's a fun read. You will smile, you will laugh. This is as open door as you get. There's a candy cane scene in this that will have you looking at candy canes differently moving forward. So be ready for the open door. So we are switching gears and we're going into kind of a YA dystopia series, and that is the Selection series. This is one of my guilty pleasure series. I've read it like 3 or 4 times. I also love the audiobooks too. So sometimes if I'm just like, I need something in the background, I will literally go into my Libby app and see which one of the books from the series is available now and just throw it on for the background. So this series is about Prince Maxim, and he is ready to find his wife. And so they hold this contest across the entire country where anyone can submit their applications. 35 women are then chosen and come to the castle, and it kind of becomes like The Bachelor. Little by little, those 35 people become less and less and less until he finds his number one throughout the series. What's interesting is it takes place in this world with these class systems around numbers. So everyone is part of a class numbered 1 to 8, or they're classless, which is like the lowest of the low. And the 1 is like the kings and queens, all the way down to the 8s, which are basically the laborers. You are born into your class. Those are the jobs that you will hold, the end. And so because of that, people stay in their classes. Like, it is very frowned upon to date into other classes. Part of the reason this contest has such an appeal is if you win, you become a 1. It doesn't matter what number you started with. Like, this is the great equalizer. So insert our main female character, America, who's named after the former America. So America's parents are like begging her to join. So America is a 5, and 5s are the artists of the world. So piano players, the dancers, the musicians, the singers, etc. So that's another interesting piece. It's like, you don't need artistic talent. If you're born a 5, you have to find an artistic lane to go down. Like, that's your only choice. So she is a 5, but she is very much in love with a childhood friend who is a 6. And so they are kind of dating behind closed doors. No one knows about their love, but they have plans to run away and get married, even though a 5 and a 6 getting married would be really bad because it would downgrade who she is. So on top of all that, her parents are like, go apply, just do it. So she's like, fine, I'll do it, but only because there's no way I'm going to get picked. Well, she's picked. So then when they pick the 35 contestants, she gets chosen. So she gets chosen. She's not happy about it, but everyone that's chosen, their families get monthly stipends for them while they're away. And these stipends are a lot of money. So like, it is a big deal. And so she's like, okay, there's no way I'm gonna get picked. I'm just gonna like fake my way through this because I really love this guy back home. Do it for a few weeks, get some money, head home, goodbye. Well, so she's like, there's a lot of fake elements in here. Because then she starts to actually get to know the prince and develop real, genuine feelings for the prince. And then the question of, but this was all supposed to be fake because I'm with this guy back home, comes into play. And what I really love about this romance in the series, and I love in romances in general, is it is not super clear where it's going to end. Like, I think a lot of romances, it's male interest, female interest, eventually they'll get together, the end, happily ever after. In this one, you literally go into this reading and you could root for her to end up with the prince because you see a lot of great qualities. You could also see her end up with her childhood friend because he does a lot of sweet things and goes out of his way to help her. So you don't know which way it's going to end up. And there's a lot of faking in between. So it's a really fun read. I enjoyed the whole series. Yes, you have to read them in order, but it is a fun, lighthearted, I enjoyed it. All right, up next we have The Right Move. And this author has this way of making these characters, especially the men, just such thoughtful characters. They do so many gestures during this books where you can't help but fall in love with them. I mean, the first book, there's this guy who is like saving puppies. What is cuter than saving puppies? And it's just so cute. So This book, The Right Move, is the second book of the series. You could read it alone. You don't need to read the first. The characters carry over, but it's its own love story. So in this book, you have Indy. Indy is down in her luck and she needs a place to stay. And so she ends up going to a friend who calls her brother, who's Ryan. And Ryan is this huge NBA star. And she's like, hey, can Indy stay with you just for a bit, get on her feet, etc. So they agree, so they're living together, but, like, virtually strangers, and, like, she's trying to be her best, like, "I'm not gonna bug you, but, like, also I live here," and he kinda comes off as, like, one of those guys that just doesn't know how to handle people. He's just awkward around people. And that's an important thing to note because throughout all of this, he is actually voted to be the captain of their NBA team, which is, an honor and great. Well, the general manager is not pleased about it at all. Like, according to the general manager, he does not have what it takes to be a captain, and he is not a fan. And so he kind of concocts his plan where he is going to fake date Indy to make him feel more kind of real, authentic, down to earth. So the general manager can like start to buy in and support the fact that he is captain of the team. Indy, on the other hand, has a wedding coming up that she has to go to where her ex will be. And so she's like, I need someone to go to this with me because it's going to be not fun. So the two of them are like, perfect. You need a fake date. You need a fake date. Boom. Let's do this. So that's kind of like the premises behind it. And then in classic fake dating trope world, feelings start to develop. And I think what's really beautiful is you start to kind of learn why he closes himself off and also the trauma she's dealt with in the past, especially with regards to this ex. And like, there's damage on both ends. And you truly, like, this couple just comes together and they make each other better for each other. I want to root for those characters. I want my romance to be as beautiful as theirs. It's just a great story. I recommend it. I recommend the first one too. Both were 5 stars. I got a feeling I've got another 5-star on my shelf up there that I need to read. So we'll get around to it soon. Maybe that'll be on the TBR for next month. Moving into The Unhoneymooners. And if you are someone that prefers a closed-door romance, this is a great pick for you. This was another 5-star read. This one was cute and cheeky, and it is a fun read. You will laugh out loud when you read this book. It is fake dating, but it is also forced proximity and enemies to lovers. So in this, you have Olive. Olive is the maid of honor / sister in her sister's upcoming wedding, and her sister is marrying a man whose best man is Ethan, and Olive hates Ethan because once upon a time Ethan made some comments that she wasn't supposed to overhear that was Ethan kind of judging her and women in general for their looks. Like, it was not a flattering thing to overhear at all. She thinks he is one of those guys who like treats women like garbage, pieces of meat, etc. So she avoids him at all costs, but best man, maid of honor, obviously there's going to be some layover. And then they get to the actual wedding, and one of them is like very anti-buffet because of all the germs, and the other one has an allergy. So the two of them are two people who won't be eating at the buffet and instead have their meals like specially catered behind the scene to come out because of hitting buffets / the allergy, which turns out to be a massive blessing because everyone else gets food poisoning. And the other thing about her sister is like the most lucky person ever and has won half the stuff at her wedding, including in all expenses, free paid trip to Hawaii for their honeymoon. And now that they all have food poisoning, they can't go. The trip is just sitting there. So the sister and now husband with food poisoning turn to their maid of honor and best man and say, just go, take it. You're the only healthy ones here. It's a free vacation. Have at it. And so the two kind of go thinking like, yeah, at least we'll have fun, but we're not together. In fact, they show up and the classic one bed scenario hits and now they're like, what do we do? Now in like this like really weird twist of ever, they run into a few people while they're on their fake honeymoon, including her future boss, who's like, family is wonderful. We need to be there for each other. And yay, you're married. This is adorable. Now I get to meet your husband. And so he immediately goes from like, okay, we're on this vacation to I need to fake being in love with this woman because otherwise she's going to be found out by her new boss. And then just to make matters even more funny, he runs into an ex while he's there. So he also has an incentive to fake it. So basically they end up on this honeymoon faking it. And feelings do start to kind of tumble together. But a lot of the story then takes place after the honeymoon because they get back and the future boss figures everything out. She ends up saying, if you can't be moral enough to tell the truth, we can't let you work here. And so, like, her life starts crumbling around her. Also, you find out that this relationship, this marriage that they were best man and maid of honor for, has some not so good secrets attached to it. And so there's a lot of just kind of like drama falling in all around them. This is not one that's going to like make you walk away with deep meaning and character building and all those other things, but it is cheeky. The banter is phenomenal. It's like, what kind of people run into two different people that you know in Hawaii that you now have to fake it for, right? It is too coincidental, but it's funny, so it's a good read. Up next, we have an Emily Henry book, and Emily Henry does romance well, like, to put it mildly. So this book, Happy Place, came out, I think this was 2 years ago. Is it one of my favorite? I don't know what. If I thought it'd be an interesting video to like sit down and talk through what are my favorite Emily Henry books, because most of them have been 5 stars, so I don't really know how to break that up into a favorite or not favorite, but this one was a 5-star. Okay, so you have Harriet, Chloe, and Sabrina, and they are friends from college who every single year get together at this cottage that one of their friends' parents owns, and they're getting ready to sell it. So it's kind of their last hurrah in their happy place. So it's kind of one of those like coming of age, like we still come back and reconnect with our friends, stories, and living through their past. Now, the 3 of them have since expanded, so now it's 6 of them because they each have a relationship that comes together. So Harriet was engaged to this man named Wynn, and they have since broken off their engagement, and they have not told this friends group. So Harriet shows up to this thing with some excuse of like, Wynn can't come because XYZ. Well, Wynn's there too. The other people made sure he was there. So now you've got Wynn and Harriet together. They have broken off their engagement. They are not together anymore. They are not in a relationship. But this whole friends group thinks they are. And it's also like a significant enough weekend that they don't want to ruin it by saying, hey, by the way, we broke off our engagement. So instead, they kind of have this secret agreement to let's just pretend we're still together, get through this weekend, have everyone enjoy their happy place with their happy memories. And then we'll tell them down the line. They're sharing a room. They're together 24/7. And like things start to come out. They start to revisit things that have happened in the past. Communication is a big one in this because they start to kind of communicate their feelings throughout the story. But also what I just really like about Emily Henry's books is she does character development so well. And so both Henriette and Wynn, but also the other 2 girls and their significant others, they're all developed really well, and you end up kind of rooting for all of them their own ways, and you see how the layers behind those characters start to interact to come together. And it's a really pretty story about a couple rediscovering each other, but it's also about friendship and growing up and all these other things. You understand why they ended it in the first place, but you also understand why what they're working towards is different and hopefully better and going to last longer in the future. So it's a great story. Next, we have The Bodyguard, and this is probably one of my favorite Catherine Center books. And I've read a lot of them. There is one that might come above this, but this is a 5-star read. If I'm like, I want cheeky and I want fun and I want to giggle and I want banter, I'm coming to Catherine Center. So in this book, you have Hannah. Hannah is the bodyguard, which didn't know that going into it and loved it. I loved that the female character was the bodyguard. And she gets assigned to watch Jack, who's this movie star who happens to have a stalker. And Jack has to go to his family ranch because there's a sick family member. And he's kind of against this whole thing to begin with. And was like, listen, if you have to come, you're not telling him you're my bodyguard because that's ridiculous. So we'll pretend we're dating. Just go with it. We'll tell our family that. That way I don't have to announce to them I've got a stalker and all these other things. So she ends up on this compound as a bodyguard, but pretending to date this movie star. And it's interesting because, like, you see a little bit of, like, the movie star vibes mixed with, like, can't be bothered with the movie star vibes, but also they start to come together and connect. And I think the element of having a sick family member and the family around really kind of brings Jack down a level in the sense that, like, the pompousness and, like, the Hollywood fame levels out. And you start to see them connect on different levels and things start to brew. And I just love that it's a female bodyguard instead of the male bodyguard protecting the female. I love that switcheroo. Like, that in itself bumped this book up. It was a 5-star read for me. It was a lot of fun. It is not a book that you're going to walk away with all these other meanings and layers and everything else, but you are going to laugh and have a good time and hopefully enjoy it as much as I did. All right. You can't go fake dating and not throw an Allie Hazelwood in there, right? So my next one is Love Theoretically. This is an Allie Hazelwood book. It's funny, this is going to be the third one in a row where I go, I love a lot of Allie Hazelwood books. Is this a favorite? It's up there. I don't know if it's like favorite, but it's up there. So in this book, you have Elise. I don't know how she says her name, but you have the female character. If you don't know, Allie Hazelwood is famous for putting books with female characters in STEM. And so she is an adjunct professor, which in the world of academics, being an adjunct professor basically means you have no job security, no money, and it's a kind of scary place to be. And so she finds out that there is a 10-year position that is open, and it's like, yes, thank goodness. So she, of course, applies for it and discovers that her arch nemesis, Jack, happens to be one of the people that will be deciding whether or not she is going to be getting this position. So Jack and her are enemies on the surface. They are constantly razzing each other, teasing each other. She blames him for his success, kind of feels like she got the shaft. But meanwhile, she is an adjunct professor and has no money. She also escorts on the side in the sense that, like, she acts as someone's date for events. Like, she is not a prostitute, just an escort. But she does this on the side because she needs the money. And in the craziest coincidences of coincidences, she ends up being an escort for this man, Greg, who happens to be Jack's brother. So that's when things start to get interesting, because part of it is she doesn't want Jack to even know she's escorting. Neither of them want Jack to know that this is a set up situation and that she is escorting him. But meanwhile, the love interest is between her and Jack, even though she's fake dating Greg. So there's a little bit of a triangle there. And so as time goes on, actually the fake dating helps because she learns more about the brother through it. And they start to understand each other a little better. Of course, when you start to have feelings for your brother's girlfriend, things get complicated. And we'll leave it at that, but it is a fun one. The banter, 5 stars. Love this Allie Hazelwood book. All right, switching gears to a little LGBT action, and that is Stars in Our Eyes. This is a book that I think came out last year, or I read it last year. I'm not sure. It's fairly new. If you like the Hollywood vibes, this is going to be a good one. I will say, like, of this list of 10 books, this is probably one of the more serious ones. There's a lot of trigger warnings to look up, mainly because the two characters have baggage from their past. So in this book, you've got Logan and Maddie, and they are co-stars on a new romance that has just been written. And Maddie is breaking into Hollywood. This is his moment, and he is a nobody, but he has been cast in this huge role. Hooray! Logan is the seasoned veteran. He is like very stereotypical Hollywood prick. And so in his Hollywood prick moment, he actually gives an interview where he says essentially that, like, his co-star isn't like, this guy doesn't know how to act. I had to carry him, the whole 9 yards. And it's an interview, so of course he sees it, as does everyone else. And do you know what's really good at crushing a movie right before it comes out? Having the co-stars fighting with each other over the fact that they can't act. Like, really doesn't look good. So production basically slaps Logan on the wrist and goes, what are you doing if you're going to sit here and trash your co-star the whole time? So they concoct this plan where they are going to fake date to help the movie do well. Neither of them are for it because Logan is too good for the world and better than everyone else. And Maddie is like, this guy just trashed me in an interview. Why do I want to fake date him? But if the movie doesn't do well, we're going to have more problems. So they do agree to it. It is very, like, scheduled because all of production, we're going to do this many appearances, very, like, micromanaged for them. And they actually don't spend a lot of time together initially because it's like, oh, we have an appearance, let's show up and do something right beforehand. And, like, little by little, these opportunities come up where they are spending time together and getting to know each other. And both of them have a lot of past baggage. A lot of it comes from them having to come out and deal with people that didn't agree with them being gay. And so a lot of it comes from that, how family members reacted to them coming out, things like that. Logan kind of reaches a tipping point in his life. And I guess the way of putting it is he starts to basically hit rock bottom. And so it becomes a little bit less of the romance behind it and more of kind of giving Logan the space he needs, but also being there for Logan as Logan needs it. This is not a book that ends with the traditional happily ever after, because it really turns into a lot more of them dealing with their past, working through their trauma. It's a beautiful story. If you want cute banter and lighthearted, pick up one of the other books I've mentioned. If you want the serious depth of a relationship, this one brings all the feels and the emotions. Watch the trigger warnings. This is a 5-star read for me. It got me in the feels. I definitely think this is a great one to pick up. Okay, I had to leave Abby Jimenez for last. I had to. I think Abby Jimenez is easily becoming one of my favorite romance authors, and this book did not disappoint. This is part of a series. I think this is the third one in the series. It can stand alone very easily. I will say every one of the books in this series was a 5-star. So while it can stand alone, I don't know why you'd bother letting it stand alone because they're all so good. So this book, Just for the Summer, is about these two characters, Justin and Emma, and it starts super, super cheeky. So Emma and Justin have one major thing in common. They are both massive good luck charms for other people. Everyone they have dated and then ended a relationship with has since gone on to find their true love and get married. Like down the line, they dump them, they go find someone, they get married. So the two of them end up meeting on a chat forum where they're discussing the fact that they are each other's good luck charms. And they kind of like form this really crazy plan where they're like, what if we're each other's good luck charms? So what if like we fake date and then when we break up, we'll go find our forever love? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's funny, but they believe in Emma's a traveling nurse. And so she and a friend always travel together. Their next assignment was going to be in Hawaii. And Emma actually manages to convince her friend to change the Hawaii assignment for Minnesota so that she and this guy can date, become each other's good luck charms, and move on. She's talk about a good friend, right? They end up on this like cottage on an island with a boat that they have to go to and from. Neither of them know how to drive a boat. Like it's comical at its best. But it also starts to get into serious because then they start to actually date so they can form their good luck charms. They also have a lot of other pieces coming into this. So Justin's mom is actually about to serve a sentence. Like she's already been convicted of a crime and she's about to check herself into jail. That's probably bad terminology. And so Justin is going to become in charge of his younger siblings. And so a lot of the beginning of this book is getting everything they need together for him to step into this father role for his siblings while she goes to jail for a few years. And then on the other side, you have Emma, whose mother is toxic to the nth degree. And you do meet her mother in person. And her mom is one of those people where the world needs to revolve around her and her drama. And so they both have these family histories that are not easy to deal with, that they're dealing with separately. And then little by little, they start to kind of come together and support each other through everything that's going on in their family. They start to develop real feelings for each other. So it's interesting because they're not fake dating for anyone except for themselves. Like this is not, we're trying to fool everyone else. This is let's date because then we'll be each other's good luck charms and then we'll break up. But now it's like, but we don't want to break up. And Emma actually extends her shift for nursing so she could stay there longer, and the two of them deal with their family issues while also coming together. And it's really sweet to see how they support each other through their hard times, but also like they learn how to deal with their trauma themselves and take care of it themselves. I think the backstories are done so well by Abby Jimenez. So I think this is a perfect mix of cheeky and romantic and growth and so many other things. And it's fun because the last fake dating book happens to be them faking it for themselves. So that's kind of a fun little twist. I do have one honorable mention. I feel like it's not fair to make this part of my top 10 because it hasn't come out yet. But I have recently read The Arc of the Love Haters, which add this one to your TBR because this one has such an interesting twist on fake dating. Because in The Love Haters, she ends up interested in one guy, but has to fake date with another guy who happens to be the brother of the first guy. So the brother doesn't know that it's fake, but meanwhile she has feelings with him. So it's like it's a love triangle of fakeness. It's really cute. So more on that book later. But in the meantime, I would love to know of the romance tropes, which is your favorite romance trope? Because there's a lot. I think fake dating is my favorite, but there's some other good ones out there. And I definitely have some least favorites too. So thanks for hanging out with me. I'd love to hear if you're reading any of these books soon. See you next time, guys.